On this episode of Mike Drop Dallas, we're talking soccer. We've got two great guests. Gabe Gabor talking about the MexTour and the impact of Lionel Messi, and journalist Jon Arnold talking about FC Dallas World Cup 2026, sustaining the impact of Messi into and beyond 2026, and much more. We get into SMU joining the ACC. Thanks for joining us. It's season 4, episode 1. Let's drop the mic and let's go. Welcome to Mike Drop Dallas, everybody, the official podcast of the Dallas Sports Commission. Kevin Sullivan here, along with Dallas Sports Commission Executive Director Monica Paul, the award-winning Monica Paul, by the way, who just won a very important leadership award in Dallas. More to come on that. And our on-air producer, Next Level, Marcus Carr. Monica, we're back with season 4 after a bit of a summer break. We're going to be talking soccer on this episode. Before we get to that, hopefully you had a nice little break. I know you never stop working. But before we get into soccer and all the things that are happening there with World Cup and more, what else is going on at the Dallas Sports Commission these days?
Well, Sully, we have a very exciting fall coming up. Obviously, MexTour coming up this weekend, but then we go into USA Pickleball National Championship. Should be the largest pickleball event to date. So really excited to host that. This will be our first time, but really looking to expand that and make that long term. We've got World Food Championships, and then obviously a lot of bowl games, but can't be more excited that college football is back. We've got our Cowboys playing this weekend. NCAA men's regionals. We'll have tickets going on sale this fall. So a lot in the hopper for us, and hopefully a few upcoming announcements that'll happen this season during the mic drop.
When, Monica, are we ever going to know about the match schedule for the 2026 FIFA World Cup? Come on.
Well, Sully, in the fall. It's we were hoping September, but looking like that's going to be pushed off to October, November. So everyone should know who's hosting the opening matches, who's hosting the final, and how many matches. Hopefully by the end of the year is what we're talking about. But a lot of stuff going on the World Cup side of things, more in the planning, a lot of safety, security, transportation system planning, sustainability, human rights. So excited to get the process moving, but it is the one question that everyone's really itching to find the answers to.
Well, I know we'll get there, and I know you're going to steer it across the finish line in a big way. We always have, we focus a lot on sports business here and what's going on in sports in general, and in North Texas and in Dallas specifically. We had a big mic drop moment last week when Jordan Spieth was named to the Ryder Cup team out of PGA Frisco, joining world number 1, also from Dallas, Scotty Scheffler. What's a recent mic drop Dallas moment for you?
Well, I have to say, SMU going to the ACC, I had a chance to reach out to Rick Hart in the athletic department on Friday, and they're just ecstatic. And it really opens up a lot of opportunities for us at the Sports Commission as well. Not that we didn't have opportunities beforehand to partner with SMU, because they're great partners of ours, but with the rapidly changing landscape in college athletics, it opens up different conference championships for us kind of across the board. So if you look at the ACC and where their universities are going to be based now, both on the East and West Coast, we feel like Dallas is a great opportunity and a location to meet right there in the middle.
Yeah, way to go, Rick Hart, friend of the podcast, and of course, SMU president, Dr. Gerald Turner. One other one, kind of hot off the press, is breaking news, Monica, here on Mike Drop Dallas. The AT&T Byron Nelson has a new corporate sponsor. Congratulations to our friend John Drago out there. It's the CJ Group, which is a South Korean-based lifestyle brand and company. It'll be known as the CJ Cup Byron Nelson, a 10-year deal. This is a nice piece of business for them as AT&T slid out. But to his credit, John and the team at the Salesmanship Club insisted that the name Byron Nelson remain part of the title sponsorship for the Byron Nelson. So way to go there. So much happened, Monica. The Rangers battling, clinging to the playoffs. We know they're going to make it. College football underway. Cowboys, Wings, FC Dallas, Stars and Mavericks camps opening in a few weeks. Big 12 realignment. We have a NASCAR playoff race headed our way in a couple of weeks at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be talking about lots of that on upcoming editions of Mike Drop Dallas. And of course, in all the exciting events that you bring to the region, like the World Food Championships, big fan. So lots to come on season 4 of Mike Drop Dallas. Back in a moment to talk with Gabriel Gabor about the MexTour, which is coming to town this weekend, and maybe even a little Lionel Messi, because I hear that they're acquainted. But first, over to Rachel with a word from one of our sponsors.
Get ready, sports fans. This fall is stacked with events right here in the Big D. From food sport to football, the #1 sports business city has something for everyone. Head to dallassports.org to sign up for access to exclusive ticket announcements, discounts, and pre-sales to be part of the next big win.
All right. Thanks, Rachel. The 2023 CONCACAF Gold Cup champion Mexican men's national team will play 4 matches in the United States this fall as part of the 20th anniversary of the MexTour. And of course, they selected Dallas as for one of those matches out at AT&T Stadium. They're playing Australia on September 9th. We're happy to be joined by MexTour media officer Gabriel Gabor. Now, Gabriel is originally from Argentina. We'll see if that's where the Messi connection comes in. And that's Messi, not Messy. And there may be some Messi connections that way too. You never know. Gabriel moved to Miami to start his career in sports communications. Monica knows I love having a fellow sports communications person on. Gabriel's been in the sports industry for 25 years, 15 of those as the MexTour media officer. He also represents MLS and international communications. Welcome, Gabriel, to Mike Drop Dallas. Thanks for making some time for us.
Hey, Kev, thank you so much. Hi, Monica. It's good to be on with 2 legends in the biz, Monica in Dallas, and then Kev, of course, one of the great sports communicators in the business.
I love this guy, Monica. Way to go.
A fellow media trainer. I got a lot of inspiration when he presented to us at an MLS PR directors meeting. So it's great.
That was a few years ago. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it, Gabriel.
Pleasure.
Now, Gabe, we had to tee Sully up like this. This is the first episode of season 4 that we're starting back. So now you've given him a big head now.
He's already got a pretty big head. I don't know if he needs one from me.
True. It's very true.
All right, Gabe. Well, let's get back to business here. So great to see you. Very much looking forward to seeing you back here in Dallas. Saturday, we're kicking off the 20th anniversary of MexTour here at AT&T Stadium. Then you head to Atlanta, Charlotte, and Philadelphia, I believe. Australia, a big opponent, but we're home to the Mexican national team here in Dallas. How important is the Dallas market to the MexTour and the overall success of what the MexTour is?
Well, it's as important as it gets. It's the only city in the country where we have a permanent home. We're in the second year of a 4-year deal leading up to the 2026 World Cup. And we came off a 4-year deal, and it's the only city in the country where you could call it, it's almost like a Vegas residency, you would say, for a entertainer. Then Dallas is our Vegas residency. We're there every year on a regular basis. We love it. It has great facilities, hotel facilities, great training facilities, not to mention what I still think it's the best stadium in the world. That's just, maybe I'm a little biased because, one of our games helped open the stadium. Maybe I'm a little biased because we have such a good relationship with you guys and the Cowboys, but we love coming there. The team loves coming there. And it's not only is it great, but it's a model relationship that a lot of sports entities hope to copy, because we really have a great marriage with that market.
I hope the production team is listening here and pulling some of these quotes, Gabe. I don't think anyone could have said it any better in terms of what we look for, and knowing that Dallas is the residency. I kind of like it. Dallas is the residency for sports events, where Las Vegas can have the entertainers and the concerts. I'll take sports all day.
You guys can be both. You definitely have facilities to do amazing concerts, and which you have, and other events. It's a big time city and a big time state and a big time country.
So Gabe, we know Dallas has a huge soccer fan base, has really expanded and grown over the past 14 years, 10 years, especially where we've really had a focus on soccer, bringing more soccer to the market. We know we have a great youth fan base. But what type of atmosphere should fans expect? Mexico was already here for the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Mexico's experienced some changes this season. But what should fans expect against Australia on Saturday?
Well, I think fans should expect, and we should expect from the fans what we always get in the Dallas area, which is a lot of passion, a large crowd. And it's important to underscore that when folks come to the game in Dallas, it's not a local event, it's not a regional event, it's really a national and international event. We know for a fact that people buy tickets from 30 different states around the country. Folks drive in all day, then they do their tailgating, which is a very American thing, which is a lovely fusion of cultures. And then they come to the match. So you definitely are expecting the best of the best when it comes to entertainment. Of course, we have the AT&T Football Fiesta beforehand, which is 120,000 square feet of festivals where you have legends signing autographs and appearances and live music. And sometimes you have wrestlers and everything that makes the Mexican culture fantastic. Taquitos. I just came from Mexico, had great little taquitos. So all those things make it sort of a mini Super Bowl. Every one of these MexTour matches, and especially in Dallas, because it's so big, are like little mini Super Bowls. And then we got a great rival in Australia, 4-time World Cup participant, great team that's going to give Mexico and their new head coach excellent competition as they prepare for 2026. And I say 2026 because as a host nation, just like the US, they don't have to qualify. So it's very important that they play these matches against top competition. And that's definitely what Australia is.
So the Mexican national team has to be, and their federation has to be very excited for 2026. You mentioned they are a host country as well. This will be an unprecedented third time that Mexico has hosted World Cup matches coming up in 2026. In your discussions with the federation or with the team, how big of a deal is that? Is that on their mind, or are they more just focused on, let's focus on the pitch and our performance, or do the two mesh?
It's a combination of the two. It depends who you ask. If you ask the guys on the team, the technical guys, the coach, it's all about performance and getting ready for 2026 and being the best club they could be. But there's always commercial implications, and that's one of the reasons why we come back to Dallas every year. It's like I said at the beginning, it's such a great market for the Mexican national team, and for any national team or sports entity that wants to come into town, because you can offer some of the best facilities in the world, starting with AT&T Stadium, which is an absolute favorite of mine. And they're fantastic, not just because of the building's fantastic, but also the people that work there that make it so easy to put on such a great event.
Let's talk a little MLS, Gabe. FC Dallas is hanging in there. But of course, the big story is the arrival of Lionel Messi, which has been nothing short of incredible. We saw the other night out in Los Angeles, Leonardo DiCaprio's at the game, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are at the game. All kinds of celebrities, Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, other sports stars were there. Tell us about your history with Messi.
I personally have enjoyed a great history with him from a professional point of view. One of the beautiful things about working with Soccer United Marketing, which is the sister company or the commercial arm of Major League Soccer, is that I get to work on the MLS side, just like you would for any other sports league in the US, but I also get to work on the international events. And over the years, just like we operate the Mexican national team tour, the MexTour, we've operated Barcelona tours, we've operated Argentina national team games, etc. So I've personally, the first time I got to work with him was in the 2006 Barcelona tour. He was only 19 years old, a young guy, but you could already tell that he was becoming something very special. So I got to work with him and interact with him a lot. Then the next opportunity was 2008, 2009, when he was already a bigger star. And we did one of our patented PR photo ops where we took him to the roof of the Space Needle in Seattle to promote the game against the Sounders. and we got footage with a helicopter of him juggling the ball on top of the Space Needle. And this is back at the infancy, or right before social media exploded. So really the only social media was YouTube, and it got 1 million hits at the time, which was a huge deal. And besides that, I've worked with them on promotional events. When Argentina plays Mexico, for example, here in Dallas, we've done it. And it was a huge deal. I remember him training with the team at SMU. And now I've gotten to work 5 of his games. I was lucky enough to be the media officer for 4 Leagues Cup games that he was in, including the final. So I guess that would make it 5, sorry. And it's unlike anything I've seen before. I lived here through the Beckham era, and that was huge. When he came, I remember I was at, back then it was called the Home Depot Center in Los Angeles. Now it's called Dignity Health. And I was there, and I remember the announcement day and helicopters flying overhead. And I said, okay, this is it. They can't get any bigger than this. And let's not forget that David Beckham was an icon that transcended soccer. He was really an icon that everybody knew, not just soccer fans. But with Leo Messi, you have the defending World Cup champion, and possibly, if not one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the world. And here he is, lined up in Major League Soccer, lined up for Inter Miami, which, by the way, is where I am based. So I don't have to tell you the amount of phone calls I have gotten since he was announced, being the MLS guy based in Miami, the only one. But it's been beyond, I think, anyone's expectations. We've had great players come in before, but you never know if they have that mentality that you need for MLS. It's a different type of league. It's physical. You got to get used to the travel, great distances, very different than other leagues. And Leo Messi seems to have come in with the right mentality, the right point of view. You see a smile on his face, and that has led to incredible performances on the field, which you got to see firsthand there in Dallas when he was playing FC Dallas and in the Leagues Cup.
Just a two-parter for me before I hand it back to Monica. Number one, we rarely see, whether it's a new movie coming out or a new sports star, where the hype is matched by the performance. That clearly has been the case here. Number one, does that surprise you? And number two, he said upon arrival, and I know he was cut in on the Apple deal, but he's doing media. Like, he really has been accessible. And he said the MLS is joining the ranks of the best leagues in the world. So what about, he has exceeded the hype, but also does his arrival push Major League Soccer to another level?
I think so. And the best way I can answer that question is the fact that I just came back from meetings in Mexico City, and I see folks walking around the central square there, the Zócalo, and I saw folks wearing Messi jerseys with the pink Inter Miami color. And I was in Kansas City for Leagues Cup, and there were folks wearing Messi jerseys with the pink that really sticks out. And I was in Houston, and I saw the same thing. The bottom line is that slowly but surely that pink Messi jersey is kind of overtaken what at one point maybe the Barcelona jersey was, that you literally saw it everywhere. And even though you have you're a fan of your home team, you also want to put on that Messi jersey. That has never happened. That anywhere I travel, I see those pink Inter Miami jerseys. So it fills you up with incredible pride that the league is celebrated like that across the world. And I do think that we continue on the path to becoming one of the top leagues in the world, which doesn't just mean competition on the field, but it also means the value of the clubs, television deal, training sites, academies, everything that goes around being just a soccer club. And I think when you take Major League Soccer as a whole, it already is among the top leagues in the world, but it's on its way to becoming one of those leagues that we talk about as an elite league.
This is a time, first of all, MLS, speaking of sports communications professionals, Dan Quartermach, one of the all-time greats, and he's done a fantastic job with all this. But since you and Monica go back, this is our chance to congratulate her on the DCEO magazine Excellence in Leadership Award in the mid-size category. We always talk about Monica being the hardest working executive in sports business, entertainment, you name it. And it was really nice to see her get that recognition. She's blushing. She's going to tell Marcus to edit this out. But
No, don't edit this out. This has to stay in. She is the hardest. I know for a fact the last time I was in Dallas, I don't know what event there was, but it was early. We're setting up, and there was Monica, and I literally said to her, Monica, aren't you too senior to be here this early? And she's like, I'm a hands-on person. So no, congratulations to her for sure.
Well, thank you both. Yes, you did make me blush, made my ears turn a little bit red, I believe, because I'm not very fond of talking about myself, but it was a great honor and a big surprise. So I do thank you for that. But Gabe, before we, let you go here, I guess 2 additional questions for you. One being, United States hosted the World Cup in 1994. And out of that was born the MLS for the most part. And now to hear you talk about where the MLS is and where it's going or has the potential to go, what do you think, I guess, the lasting legacy could be coming out of 2026 for the growth of soccer here in the United States? Messi has done fantastic will continue to grow over these next 3 years, but what's next?
A lot of folks say that the 2026 World Cup is going to be like rocket fuel for soccer in this country. I'm one of those people that will tell you that I am not 100% sure that I even can imagine what's going to happen after the 2026 World Cup, because it's growing to 48 teams, which is unprecedented, more stadiums than ever. And from here to 2026, we have a great ramp up to that World Cup with folks like Messi and Jordi Alba and Busquets, which, by the way, are all in Miami. But other players are going to come on board, and hopefully that ramp will be pushing the league up that ramp as hard as possible. When you get to 2026, it really will be like rocket fuel. It's going to be It's going to do wonders for all the markets that will be hosts. I'm in when I'm in Dallas and I'm in the AT&T district there, I can't even imagine what that area is going to be like for fans. Before they head out to the stadium, it's going to be spectacular. And how fans are going to leave after that 2026 experience with this hunger for more. So I think it could only benefit amazing cities like the Dallas and greater Dallas area, but clubs like FC Dallas. And hopefully the lasting legacy is that the same guys that you see on the pitch, you'll want to go see play for your local club team. And it'll make more people fans of our local club teams like FC Dallas, which, by the way, has a fantastic facility in Frisco. And it's a lot of fun to go to those games. No need to wait to 2026. Head out to Frisco now to see the matches.
Well, I can definitely tell you there's a lot of excitement around the World Cup and growth, and people who've never even watched soccer are interested in it now due to the World Cup and them being on our committees or just kind of in the know, wanting to be in the know of what is this World Cup and what does this mean. So
all I can promise you, Monica, is that from here to 2026, you're going to find out about cousins you never knew you had, because they're all going to call for tickets.
I already I think I've already set up a hotline for that, Gabe, another number, so they don't go directly to my cell phone and my office number. So Gabe, I've started back teaching this year over at SMU, an introductory course, Contemporary Issues in Sports Management. I've had 2 classes, and I have to say that this may be my best class yet in terms of the students that are in there. I was very, very surprised when I walked in the first day, and there's probably 60% females in the class, whereas my first time teaching, out of 50 plus kids, I had 6 females. So I'm very excited about that part, but just even what they're bringing to the table is pretty exciting. So I'll always ask people in the sports business, what advice would you give to those students who are entertaining being in getting in the sports business? And by the way, I have a lot of communications and future broadcasters out there in my class.
I think the best advice I could give, and I'm fortunate I get asked to lecture at schools, at colleges all the time, and I get that question a lot. And for me, the number one thing is you have to intern somewhere. And if you can intern, go volunteer on game day, intern for an organization, because people tend to hire people they know and like. So if you're competing with someone that hasn't interned, that hasn't volunteered, you're going to be behind them, plain and simple. I know that in my case, usually when we do a game like in Dallas, we'll bring in 20 to 30 volunteers just to run game day media operations and comms. And out of those folks, I'm so proud to say that I've seen folks go from game day volunteers handing out credentials to running the final of the Gold Cup. It's happened. A lot of talent here in Dallas, so many passionate people. If you speak Spanish, it's another incredible advantage. You'd be surprised how hard it is to find great communicators who are bilingual, fully bicultural, which is very important. You got to be just as comfortable watching SportsCenter as you are Contacto Deportivo on Univision, and have that passion for the sport. So if you already have that, you have an incredible leg up. And just keep fighting. It will come. There's lots of sports jobs, not just in soccer, but in other pro sports, in college sports, and so on. There's endless opportunities, but go out there and volunteer on game days, do an internship. That's the best path forward.
Well, Gabe, so great to have you with us here on Mic Drop Dallas, especially kicking off our first episode of season 4. I can't wait to see you out at AT&T Stadium on Saturday, and looking forward to a great match.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I'll just end by saying, love going to Dallas. You know, I know it's at least once a year. I brought my family last year because it's such a great place to visit. And thank you for the incredible job you do. And thanks for Kev, one of the pioneers in sports comms. And it's a real honor to be on with both of you.
You're very kind. Thanks, Gabe.
Take care.
Great having you on.
Bye.
Bye. And now over to Rachel for a word from one of our sponsors.
All right, Dallas, don't miss the opportunity to enjoy an evening of fitness and fun alongside your coworkers and the corporate community. The JP Morgan Corporate Challenge is 1 part run and 1 part party. This 3.5-mile road race is open to all companies in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Learn more at jpmorganchasecc.com. That's jpmorganchasecc.com.
Thanks, Rachel. And now we're happy to bring back soccer journalist Jon Arnold for a second visit to Mic Drop Dallas. He joined us way back on episode 49. And let me tell you, Monica, we're in for some Steve Davis quality soccer conversation, some Mark Followill level soccer conversation. We had a blast with Jon last time. One of my favorite parts, Jon, was every time I mentioned get CONCACAF, Monica cracked up. That is, of course, your Substack newsletter. We recommend everybody subscribe to that. Jon is a smart guy, fun to listen to. You can follow him on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Arnold, Jon, Jon, all spelled out. Welcome back to Mic Drop Dallas, Jon. Great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's funny. A lot has changed since that last time, but certainly as far as the things coming to Dallas, the things happening in Dallas, it's only getting more exciting. It's only growing. So glad to be here to chat with y'all.
Well, thank you for being here. Before we get to the MexTour match on Saturday, give us your take on the Messi phenomenon with Inter Miami. We had another, inflection point in Los Angeles the other night. Has this exceeded your expectations? Where do you put the Messi phenomenon?
Yeah, it absolutely has exceeded my expectations. Obviously, you've seen Lionel Messi. You know what he means to the sport. Seeing him come to Major League Soccer after winning the World Cup, you knew was going to be something that's important. I was able to follow him around with the Leagues Cup, the tournament he played in, the midseason tournament that MLS and Liga MX are doing combined. I was at almost every single one of his games. I think I knew that we were going to see the fan reaction, the market, respond. Everyone go to the games, the tickets be sold out, people, loving Messi with signs and buying jerseys. What I was surprised to see was how well it worked on the field as quickly as it did. I certainly wasn't betting against Lionel Messi long-term or medium-term, but the fact that he showed up and was as good as he was, as quickly as he was, with Miami winning Leagues Cup, potentially winning a second trophy as they have the Open Cup final. And I think they even might make the MLS playoffs, which looked like it would have been an absolute impossibility before his arrival. They were sitting in last place in the conference. Just what he's been able to do on the field, to me, is what I think is the most impressive. We all work in the sports business. We kind of, knew that it's going to be pretty easy to market these games, to get sellouts. But you can do that and still have the player not live up to his expectations or live up to the billing or take some time to get adapted. That's totally normal. But Messi is not normal. He hasn't needed that adaptation period, and it's been a joy to watch.
We asked Gabe in our previous conversation what this does for MLS. Of course, Messi brought a few of his buddies with him. Do you think there'll be now an influx of other stars when they see the marketing power and how the Apple deal has worked out? What do you think this does for MLS going forward?
It's interesting. I think that it certainly will give a little bit of a boost right now. What I think MLS really needs to do, and those of us who work in the game, myself just covering, it's not my responsibility, I wouldn't say, but the league and other people, I think that the responsibility is to sort of make sure that that momentum continues, that it's not a sugar rush that then crashes when Messi and Busquets make their way from the league. So I think one way to do that would be attracting more of these top players. It's very interesting to watch the Saudi Premier League attract some big name stars, players who I think had MLS interests that opted to go that route for whatever reason. So that's going to be a level of competition. I think that Mexico and South America are going to try and strike back and become kind of the top attraction in the Americas. So how MLS fends off those challenges and continues to try and reach its goal of becoming a league of choice, they call it, where players want to come, where fans want to watch the games instead of watching a Premier League game or instead of watching a game from another league. I think capitalizing on the interest in that quick boost that the league got from Messi, Busquets, from Jordi Alba, and even some of the younger players that Inter Miami have brought in that have a lot of attention around them, that are playing really well. To me, that's what the league has to do to make sure this is a sustained thing, and that the growth we see in the short term becomes something that we're enjoying when the World Cup is here in 2026 and after that.
So, John, before we get to MexTour, can you break down the FC Dallas season and what we might expect the rest of the way?
It's been an interesting year for FCD, right? I think there have been certainly some ups and there have been some downs. Certainly early in the season, it looked like the team was extremely dependent on Jesus Ferreira, a homegrown guy, a guy who we've all watched for a long time. Some of us are old enough to have watched his dad, David, win the MLS MVP. So it was really exciting in some ways, but also a bit concerning that the team was having to lean on him as hard as it was. He went to the Gold Cup with the United States, so FCD missed him for a bit there. Then he was sick the last couple of weeks, so FCD missed him some there. And you really see when he's not on the field the difference. But I think that absence has caused some players like Alan Velasco, who just got a call up to the Argentina senior national team. He'll probably play with the U23s as they prepare for Olympic qualification, but he's in that full roster. He's going to train against Lionel Messi. He's going to train against the guys who won the World Cup. So that's exciting. And some of the defensive players who I think are kind of coming to their own. The standard at FC Dallas has always been to make the playoffs and sort of see what happens. And I think in the past, we've seen FCD maybe peak too early or be good for sustained amounts of time at the wrong time of the season. They'll start off really hot and then fade. So I think FCD and manager Nico Esteves have an exciting opportunity to get hot at the right time, to put together a couple wins here as the playoff push starts, maybe increase their seeding, get that postseason spot, and maybe make a little run. I think it's going to be a really compelling end to the season because everyone else is trying to kind of do the same, to arrive in the playoffs with the right momentum, to arrive in good form. So I think fans should definitely think that they have a team that can contend for things, that can win trophies, that can make the playoffs, and that can do something exciting. But it's not a guarantee, like when you look at some of the other teams around the league. So in some ways, maybe you'd rather have a steamrolling team that's already in first place. But there's more drama certainly around the team, I think, as they try and get those last playoff places and get the momentum rolling.
Well, we'll definitely be tuning in and supporting our friends over at FC Dallas and our home team. So, John, MexTour, Mexico's taking on Australia. Actually, a match we weren't sure, with a busy soccer schedule this year, was gonna take place. So excited to be welcoming the Mexican national team back to Dallas. What they haven't met in over 20 years. What should fans expect?
Well, I think when you look at these games, for Mexico, they're coming off of winning the Gold Cup and they're in this transitional moment. Mexico didn't know if the manager that it had hired as interim manager during the Gold Cup, Jaime Lozano, you might hear us call him Jimmy Lozano. We didn't know what he would do long term. They win the Gold Cup, and even then, the Mexican Federation, which has new leadership, said, we'll see. We're going to see and decide if this is really the best option for us. They have hired Jimmy Lozano and his staff long term, and I think it's a move that really injects a lot of enthusiasm into this Mexico team and the fan base. Jimmy Lozano is a former player. He played for the national team, played for a bunch of different clubs, has had some good success, knows a lot of the Mexico players from an Olympic bronze medal run, which he coached. So I think you're going to see kind of this youth movement as Mexico starts a bit of a new cycle and really looks toward that 2026 World Cup. I wrote in the newsletter just today, actually, that there's a lot of pressure on managers in North America to have great tournaments in 2026, but you don't just flip a switch and have that start in international soccer. The game is set up so there's only 2 games every month or so, and even that is kind of more than a lot of international managers get. So that momentum, that build up toward 2026 really starts here at AT&T Stadium with Mexico playing Australia. Australia team that's also trying to kickstart a bit. They have their version of the Continental Cup in a couple months, their version of the Gold Cup. So they're going to be getting prepared for that. And I think, there's some generational change as well after the World Cup. But ultimately, you're looking at 2 teams that I think are trying to learn about themselves, to kind of figure out, hey, who is really going to be in this roster long term and who's not. And I think that always makes for compelling games because the players know, hey, they really have to put in their best shift. And you get some guys who maybe haven't worn the national team jersey all that often, or maybe ever at all. So that always adds an extra bit of inspiration for those players.
Well, with that youth movement that you're talking about, John, with the Mexican national team, who are some players that fans should watch out for Saturday night against Australia that may figure in the conversation less than 3 years from now for the World Cup? They don't have to qualify as a host country. So who might we see on the pitch in 2026? That'll be playing.
I'm really hoping that Santi Jimenez makes it. He picked up a little bit of a knock, so I'm not 100% sure, but he's an exciting forward who came through Cruz Azul, one of the 4 traditional big clubs in Mexico City. So he came through that system and now plays in the Netherlands. He won a title in the Dutch league with Feyenoord, a big club over there. He actually didn't make the 2022 World Cup roster, even though he was in contention, had a few games actually in Texas, played at Q2 Stadium, had a fantastic game that I thought would maybe launch him into that World Cup roster, but it didn't happen. So he's definitely hungry at age 22 to make his first World Cup roster. I think he's sort of the new face of the Mexico national team attack in a lot of ways. So fans, I think, are going to be really hoping that he is fit and ready to go for that game. He's a player who I think is going to be a big difference maker that's very young. Mexico's also got a lot of young players at the back. Looking at a center back like Johan Vasquez, who I think has maybe not gotten enough run with the national team. Previous managers haven't rated him as highly as I do when I look at him. So big towering center back. So I think he's the kind of player who, when you have a set piece, he's going to be blasting the ball away and keeping forwards in his pocket. So that's a player that I would also spotlight. And even a guy that's born in the U.S., like Julian Araujo, came through the LA Galaxy system and made the jump over to Barcelona. He's currently on loan, playing with a smaller team in Spain than Barcelona, but he's in that academy, or is in that system rather, where Barcelona thinks that one day he might be good enough to start at fullback for them. He's a fun player to watch and easy to spot on the field. He's usually got his hair dyed pink or something kind of crazy. So he should be easy to pick out if you're in AT&T Stadium to see which one he is. He's only 22, and I think another player for the future. On the other side, he's not a player for the future. He's a player for the present and the past. But Guillermo Ochoa is still rolling strong. I think is going to be Mexico's top goalkeeper for the next cycle. He's 38 right now. So, it's not an up and coming hope, but if you're, vaguely familiar with the Mexico national team or the advertising around it, or the billboards around DFW, every time Mexico comes to town, you'll recognize Guillermo Ochoa. He's still rolling strong and is the leader of this team.
I got to tell you, John, we really appreciate you coming out and offering your insights. As someone who is not a lifelong soccer aficionado, I love listening to you talk about the game. You can tell not only are you knowledgeable, but you care, and you love the game, and you're just a fun guy to listen to. We really appreciate you having you back. We'll have you on, I'm sure, again as the FIFA 2026 World Cup draws near. So on behalf of Monica Paul and the Dallas Sports Commission and our on-air producer, Marcus Carr, thank you to Jon Arnold for joining us. Don't forget to check him out at Get CONCACAF, his Substack newsletter. Thanks to Gabe Gabor. That was also a fun conversation about the MexTour match Saturday at AT&T Stadium. Thanks to our pals at Tony Fay PR and everybody involved with Mike Drop Dallas. Until next time, thanks for listening, everybody.